regrets when it comes to Zachary. When you step back and you just allow it to happen, that becomes a regret versus this is a teachable moment, not just for me, but for someone else. When you feel like something's not right, best believe something is not right.
Oh, I wish Zach didn't have Down syndrome. Why did I think this? When you see someone that you love being treated unfairly, not as a human should be treated, you start to think, oh, if he didn't have Down syndrome, it would be easier for him.
I never understood prior to all of this the importance of loving yourself and what that really genuinely means. Yeah. You don't want to let your family down.
But my question is, have you forgiven yourself?
Wow, that hit hard.
Welcome back to Love Out of Chaos with the Valentines. I'm Patrick Valentine.
And I'm Mama Valentine.
Are you not Linda Mama Valentine? You forgot the name part.
Just holds on to that pause.
For Zach, yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get used to it. But
one day.
But I'm still Mama Valentine.
Yeah. Anyways, today we are talking about regrets. Mom, do you have any regrets when it comes to Zachary?
Absolutely. I have a lot of regrets when it comes to Zachary. And it's not an easy topic. I speak, not just for myself, and I hope that anyone that sees themselves also in my shoes going through similar experiences, that they can take away something from. I don't sit here and wallow about the past or what I should have, could have done, but
you do reflect about it.
But you do reflect,
absolutely.
And I think these are teachable and learning moments. And one of many things that I feel like I regret is when I look back and I ask myself, in the moments that we were faced with certain challenges, whether it was medical, school, friendships, family, did I fight hard enough for him, for his space, for a place and space for him to really have that was safe, that provided not just opportunities, but for instance, I think about school.
Yeah.
Right.
Which we talked about a little bit on past episodes of. Right. There was a lot of challenges for him, for you, for the family as a whole that were unfair, to say the least.
Right. And those are the moments of regret, because when I think of my family, I always wanted to do good and right by them. Yeah. I mean, let me just clear something up though. I don't have regrets about having Zachary. Absolutely no.
Of course.
No. But there are those really hard situations that maybe I sort of just let go and thought it'll be okay when it really wasn't. It really wasn't. And I convinced myself that it would be okay.
I think that's an interesting point, because I remember you talking about in past episodes protecting your peace too. And those moments of letting go, I think, were an element of trying to protect your peace, trying to protect Zachary's peace. So when you talk about regret in the situation, whether it's school and
right,
there's a lot of wounds there, to say the least. How do you balance that?
I think even today you don't. I don't feel like I do. Yeah. I mean, no one gives you a playbook. I don't ever remember feeling as though I had all the answers, because you don't have the answers. I think it's very fortunate in today. There are a lot more resources. Not only that, but we have social media where you have information at your fingertips.
Or even potential community at your fingertips.
Right. And don't ever recall having that. And Zachary was born.
Yeah.
So, again, there isn't this how-to. I didn't have anyone around me, whether it was a family member or friends or a community that had someone with Down syndrome that was going through similar. So I had nothing to really model off of. And so those are the things. Of course, when I look back, it's like, okay, Linda, don't be so hard on yourself. And that's something that I tell myself all the time, but it doesn't change.
Easier said than done. Of
Easier
course.
said than done. Absolutely. And I also think about, there was a pivotal point as time went on that I would tell myself, okay, learn from this, do better from this. You can help someone else. And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to share this moment with others, because I know many moms, many parents go through this. And did I ever feel ashamed? Probably, more often than I would like to admit.
Where do you think that shame came from?
Where it came from? I don't know. I think it's just the idea that you don't want to let your family down. Zachary being, vulnerable, not having a voice to really speak up or stand up for himself. When I look back, I see all the signs now. So they were there, but I wasn't aware enough. Many times when something was happening, or information, just not having enough information, whether it was medical or school, or being in situations that seemed normal to you and I, being in, loud spaces that you're thinking that you are.
You think it just is,
right? Or you're just exposing someone.
We didn't understand
No.
Zach's needs. We didn't understand
not fully
his triggers fully,
No.
right? It was always a constant learning. And we've expressed this many times. So many mistakes. So many lessons that we just try to do better every day. And we still feel this to this day.
Yeah, it does stay with you, because have I learned a lot? Zachary's learned a lot, right? But when you think about regrets, as we spoke, learning to keep your peace. But what does that mean? Like, what does that really mean? How do you keep your peace potentially when you really don't understand what is happening? Because you think you are doing the right thing by following the expectations, right? Whether it's going to school, you're doing what is expected of you.
What society says is quote unquote normal, or you should do. Right? Yeah.
So you feel like you're doing the right thing, or at least what is expected. Like I said, what is expected of you or for your family and your children. But not really understanding that that's not the best path for you or your child. If something is wrong, then question it. And so even though I would question it, I think it was so outside of my experience, even with you going to school, that I didn't see maybe the reason to doubt someone's intentions or a situation, because you're thinking everything's okay. It should be okay. So those are my regrets. Those are really, in the greater scope of things, my regrets of not, when you feel like something's not right, best believe something is not right.
So essentially, like, following your gut, understanding what you're seeing,
right,
and listening to yourself because people aren't walking in your shoes. They're not living your experience.
That's exactly right. People are not walking in your shoes. And sometimes, outside sources make you second guess maybe the circumstance at hand.
Yeah, and for me, outside sources have played a role in my life, in our lives, in everyone's life. And talking about regrets, I remember, again, this came from an outside source, but it felt like it came internally from me. But it wasn't my initial thoughts. And I've talked about this before because I'm so grateful that everyone sees mine and Zach's relationship. It's a very beautiful relationship. We have each other's backs. He's my best friend. We're bros. And growing up, that doesn't mean I felt some type of negative way at times because he had Down syndrome. And when I say regret, I remember I used to think in my head, and I don't even remember if I told you this, but I used to think in my head, oh, I wish Zach didn't have Down syndrome. Again, I was 8 years old. I was young.
Right.
But those thoughts stick with me because I had to really dive deep and ask myself, why the heck, when I was this young, random times, why did I think this?
And of course, I mean, I hope now that even being at your age and allowing time to pass by, right? You're not given any more information than what you think. You don't live in a community. You weren't raised in a community with those with Down syndrome or those disabilities. So there's a lack of understanding. There's a lack of information.
That's not even what came from it. What I learned was everyone else's negative perceptions about it. That's what made me think, oh, I wish my brother didn't have Down syndrome. Because when he was first born, I was excited. Didn't understand fully what Down syndrome, didn't understand what that meant, didn't understand even what a disability meant in that time. Again, I was 'cause you're just 6. Loving
your brother.
I was 6 years old. But as time came on, was it 7, 8, got even older, 10, 12 years old, started to realize how people treated him.
Yeah.
And
those are my regrets.
So that's hard, right? When you see someone that you love being treated unfairly, not kindly,
right?
Not as a human should be treated. Plain and simple. You start to think, oh, if he didn't have Down syndrome, it would be easier for him. So you put it on him as, I wish he didn't have Down syndrome. Instead of realizing, hey, society's kind of messed up in this. This person's messed up that they said this. It's them that need to change, not Zach.
It's unfortunate. I look back and I do think very clearly these moments and instances with individuals, doesn't matter who it was. And you don't forget that moment because it's very clear. It's engraved in your mind so much so. You forgive and you move on. But when there are moments that do arise and I recall, I think, oh, it just, you can't unsee that moment. You can't unfeel that moment. You can't change that moment. It does live with you. And it's unfortunate, whether it's someone you care about, friendships, family, whatever it may be, teachers that, you trusted, you remember the ugliness. And it's just so hard because I wish myself, another regret that I have is that I wish I would have been in a place that was more willing to teach others and not take it so personal. Because I think when you step back and you just allow it to happen, that becomes a regret versus, okay, this is a teachable moment, not just for me, but for someone else. I can still graciously stand up for my son, not taking it personal because they're coming from a place of ignorance.
Yeah.
They're coming from a place of their own perceptions, their own ideas, what they do or do not value in life. Those are not mine. And again, when I look back, I can do that now. I can stand up in a way that's just different. You know, even when you think about someone who's using the R word, right? I no longer take it personal because I realize it's just a place from ignorance. They have no idea. And I'd rather
Oftentimes
speak up.
ignorance, because
Right.
sometimes it is a place from hate too, 100%.
That's different. And you
Let's
know
be
the
real.
difference.
Yeah.
You know the difference between someone who's really like charged and delivers in a way that's just super hateful. But I'm talking about something that just comes and you know comes your way and you're approached and you realize this is a teachable moment. This is a moment that I need to stand up in a way that's not offended, in a way that stands up for my son, protective. I can still walk away with not being angry. I can still walk away with not allowing it to, you know, destroy the day in a way that is just mentally sometimes draining. Because when you are in a place of protective that way from someone that you know can't speak up for themselves, you are constantly on that mode of protecting, fighting for a purpose, a reason.
And you did protect, right? I think that's also something to acknowledge, even in all of that. There's certain moments that you regret, but you made the best decision in that time.
With what I had.
Yeah, with what you had, with your capacity, with your knowledge.
Absolutely.
I cannot say that, even though maybe you regretted making that decision, when hindsight's 20/20.
Absolutely.
Of course. But you made the best decision with what you knew and the facts you knew at that time, still to protect Zachary, to protect the family, protect your peace, his peace. And I think that's important to acknowledge as well, because both of those things can be true. Yeah, regret a little here and there, or maybe deeper regret sometimes.
There are.
But yeah,
there are, because it even goes back to, the unhealthy relationship that I was in. I think that played a big part and goes back to allowing certain circumstances in your space that causes more harm than good. And that is one of the reasons that I want to share this, is that certain things are out of your control. They're out of your control. But if you really take a moment to make decisions that are not just based on, how do I say this? Okay, so going back and thinking about, sometimes it feels a lot easier to go down a path that you think is easier and less.
So I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's typically the path that's more familiar.
Not just more familiar, but you think you're not disturbing, right, a home by staying, right? You have to choose your hard.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time. You have to choose your hard. And the hard sometimes that I chose was maybe potentially easier for someone else as opposed to easier for me.
Yeah, and I think even digging deeper in that, sometimes the decisions we make, very similar to what you said, feel easier because there might be less steps, but down the road, it actually made things 100 times harder. Because whether you stayed stagnant or we talked about change, didn't invite the change in, whatever it may be, it felt extra to take these 5 other steps right here that were going to be a little difficult, but taking that easy road for that time being, or felt like the easy road in that time being.
It wasn't the easy road. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was definitely not the easy road. It was the harder road. Now looking back.
But you didn't know at that time. Right. But that's what I'm saying. At that moment in time, it felt like the easier road because maybe there's 1 or 2 steps to do.
Or just, like you say, unfamiliar.
Or familiar.
Because you're also leaning towards this idea of fear.
Yeah.
The what ifs. What if it is harder? What if, there's these unknowns? And I can honestly look back and say, okay, I'm sure it would have been harder. However, there would have been a different level of peace. Not just for myself, but for our home.
You sometimes have to go through that hard to get through that other side of it.
You do. I see that. And again, would I go back and do things differently? Perhaps in those areas. Just making sure that the home was just more of a peaceful space for everyone. Because we were already experiencing the challenges. Like I was already experiencing the medical challenges with Zachary. And, I'm sure anything that you go through in life is almost always easier when you have, someone else to also carry the weight with you. And same thing going into, the medical, it's easier when you have a group of a team in your, medical needs that understands you and listens to you and addresses your concerns, right? Yeah, and the same thing goes in the school system.
It's about the community. It really is about the community, whether it's family, friends, romantic, whatever it is. If you don't have that community and village, they always say it takes a village to raise someone.
Well, I wish I could say that there was a village.
Yeah, and you didn't feel that.
No,
right? You didn't experience that, and that's what made a lot of things harder.
And yes, it did make harder, but I wish I would have not just allowed things to stay there, allowed myself to actually go out and search for that village.
Yeah.
Because when I came across these roadblocks, right, it just sort of stopped me. I became extra protective about my family, but I didn't go out and seek like-minded or the community that I felt would have most likely helped me in building a stronger, community for myself, the support, the resources, because it just created moments of distrust, moments of, those moments of being unaware. I feel for me and my family sort of became a different roadblock for me.
That makes sense. I want to circle back. You talked about forgiveness, right? A little bit in those moments that people did Zachary wrong or just weren't kind, etc. Forgiving people.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different conversation itself of it's not easy to forgive, but forgiving lets go of that burden for you and that mindset. Forgiveness is so important.
It really is.
But my question is, you're talking about regrets today. Have you forgiven yourself?
Wow, we're going deep, aren't we? Wow.
I think that's a very important
Okay.
question.
I agree. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think, wow. Thank you for this moment. It's been a work in progress. I think where is the tissue right now? Wow. That hit hard. Because I say that all the time, right? I say it to others.
Yeah.
Extending grace to others, forgiving yourself because, like you said, you did the best that you could. Oh my gosh. I think I am in a place of understanding that, forgiving yourself, because yeah, good one. Good one.
So what I'm hearing, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing is you haven't.
I don't
But
think
you're
fully.
on the journey.
I am on the journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm definitely, I've already have come into the place of realizing and understanding that I did do the best that I could.
Yeah.
Like, there is no doubt in my mind. Like, I am aware. But I think when I see my family hurt, that still hurts. When I see my family still going through, like, those things that happened in those unfortunate situations, that they are still very relevant today. And that kind of continues to, burn a little.
Yeah.
And I don't dwell on it. It's not part of my everyday. We continue to move on every day. We continue to strive, and I hope that anybody that is truly watching this and feels those moments so deep in their lives that you reflect and allow yourself to graciously just forgive yourself. I am, like I said, I am on that journey.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier now than it was before. I think, I look at everything that we have today with great joy, and all the challenges and the lessons, and I'm so full of gratitude that I guess on some levels, like, even though we have those like little regrets of not doing things a little different, I don't have the great regrets of things that I felt where, they were pivotal or life-changing. Like, those are things that I'm okay in. Not just this idea of accepting, but those were lessons. Those are part of life. I can't change these moments that you don't see coming, or
and made you who you are today.
Absolutely.
I always express that to people of, you may be going through a difficult time, or you may having those big regrets, those moments. You may be really hard on yourself for a decision.
Right.
And when you heal from it, go through it, accept it, try to do better, whatever that may be, and you start to really dive deep into who you are and love yourself through all of that, you understand, oh, that was tough. And I am better for it because I learned something, or I'm learning to be okay with it. And you come out of the other side of like, okay, I had to go through that, and this is what I learned. I'm going to do better, or I'm going to do this different next time.
I think you said something that is important for anyone else that also goes through these similar situations and being hard on yourself. I never understood prior to all of this the importance of loving yourself and what that really genuinely means. don't think growing up was something that I understood. The value of loving yourself, the value of and I think it's important. I think it really is, because it goes hand in hand with forgiving yourself.
Yeah, because again, when you think about, you talked about forgiving others. When you
It seems so
forgive
much
others,
easier.
yeah, but you do it out of whether it's to let go,
Right.
or because you really love this person, you want to forgive them. Imagine how much love you've given to those very close friends or family members in your life that, you had to forgive them for whatever situation it may be. Imagine doing that for yourself.
Yeah.
That is so important, and we should pour more love into ourselves so we could give more love out to the world. Because you can't fill from an empty cup.
No,
I know
you
how
can't.
cliche it
Not.
sounds, but it's the truth.
No, it is true. And the more you give, the more you get. It really is.
Yeah.
The more you have within yourself to give, the more you have for yourself and for others. And it just continues. I mean, it is beautiful, occurrence when you see yourself just pouring out. And like you said, being able to do that for yourself. I don't think we see it, at least for many of us, we don't see it as the same.
I think it's harder.
It is harder.
And again, that's fair. And just want to say, right, like, I'm very proud of you for going on that journey of healing, forgiving yourself. I know you did the best you could.
I know.
I think you don't say that enough about it and yourself, from yourself. But I am proud of you. I forgive yourself. That's important. Love yourself. You're important. And for anyone listening, we know it's not easy.
It's not easy. And it's hard to be in this vulnerable situation. It really is. It's not my comfort, space. And it's not for many.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I say over and over, it's important to give those an understanding that you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
This is a well worth journey. I have no regrets about, again, having the family that I had and the experiences that I had. I hope that all of this is valuable to someone else, because then it would be all in vain, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it is. Again, your story is important. And I'm just so proud of you for sharing it with the world.
Thank you for putting me in the hot seat.
Mom, truly thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. I know not only important for our listeners and our community to know they're not alone in this journey, but again, I am just so very proud of you for being vulnerable, because I know that's not easy for you.
No, it's not.
And that is truly my golden moment of seeing you step into this podcast, this light that isn't necessarily easy for you. And we talked about that a little, but your story is so important. Your story is going to change lives, and I truly believe that. And I'm just so proud of you, and that's my golden moment. It's just you being vulnerable, being here, being present, and just doing the thing. Doing, whether it's a podcast or out in the community. That's my golden moment. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I love you.
Thank you for doing this with me. I don't think I could imagine doing it with anyone else. Honestly, I just thank you. And my golden moment It's just hearing it out loud.
Hmm.
Have you forgiven yourself? And having that moment of reflection, I think I felt it just run through my entire body at that moment.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it right through your body for
I
sure.
felt every ounce of that. And knowing that I have been on that journey for some time, I think hearing it out loud and actually digesting it, mentally, it's like, wow, have I? And so my golden moment is just stepping back and allowing myself to, because I don't, that I just kind of be in the present and move forward.
Yeah.
And we're humans. We are made up of so many wonderful, spicy elements to us. And yeah, it's different to hear it out loud than to just say, it's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's good. So I hope the next time that either you ask me or I ask myself, that the answer's going to be different.
Yeah.
That I'm going to be in a place where things maybe come full circle, and I said this before, as a woman of faith, I know I am exactly where I am because it's where I need to be.
I agree. You got this.
I love you.
I love you.